Greg, what's happening, man?
Nick Ruffini
Oh my God, it's Gregg Bissonette.
from Philly.
Yes, that is me.
The Ruffini restaurant that's
Yeah.
just outside of Philly?
Yeah, that's
Italian, Ruffini.
Yeah, that's
like
me, man.
Penne arrabbiata, Ruffini arrabbiata.
See, all this time I thought you didn't know who I was, and you've been following me for years.
I've been following you for years, and I know that you and Adam Kuntz are the paradiddle-diddle, quadruple paradiddle drum set kings. Champions.
Of the world.
Of the world.
Yeah. Nice. What's going on, everybody? Nick Ruffini here with Gregg Bissonette at the Drum Channel Studios. And I've been out here for 3 days, and I've been shedding and got, filming some lessons and got to interview people. And what better way to end this trip is to sit down with you. Such an amazing player, man. And it's such an honor to have you here. And I know it took you a long time to drive down here because of traffic. So thank you for that.
I was doing a film out in Warner Brothers Studios in Burbank. And the 101 freeway, well, the 134, into the 101 on a Friday, and then the 101 through the valley, and then you hit the Camarillo grade, and you come into the Camarillo Valley, and we were just stopped. So I'm sorry I'm late, but we're rolling.
There's no need to apologize, but thank you, really. I mean, I know it's a pain in the neck to get down here, especially on a Friday, man. So we appreciate it, and I know that the audience appreciates you being here as well.
It is my pleasure.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
So I always like to get the backstory a little bit of people who I talk to, and there's a lot of information about you online. So people can go on and Google you, and there's tons of information out there.
But what they don't know is when I'm hanging with my Italian brother, Ruffini, I want to be Italian. But Bissonetti, it's Bissonette. So
Yeah.
I'm going to swap
We can say
the
Bissonetti.
French for Italian here.
We say Bissonetti.
Bissonetti, ok. Ho
Gregory.
capito perfettamente.
Sì.
Pasta fazola. I don't know.
People are like, what the heck are they talking about?
Sorry, guys.
So,
Backstory.
back when you were growing up in Italy.
In Italy.
What?
Ho capito perfettamente. Fantastico. Small boy, bambino.
Sì.
And che bravo ragazzo.
Oh, grazie.
Prego.
Sì. Tu parli italiano?
Un
po',
poquito.
solo un po', sì.
That's my Spanish.
Sì.
LA roots coming in there. Sorry. Oh, poquito.
Sì.
Sorry. But Detroit, not far from Philly. A lot closer to Philly than Camarillo or Oxnard.
Right.
Detroit, yeah. A lot of Italians.
Mm-hmm.
My good friend Tony Pia and Paul Fanasso and a lot of my, Paulie Ventimiglia from Detroit.
That's an Italian.
Ventimiglia, Sicilian.
See.
So anyway, yeah, Detroit. Grew up there.
So growing up there, let's talk a little bit about how you got into drumming and really how you got the bug to really say, man, I'm going to dive into this and get serious about it.
Well, my dad always had drums in the house.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was a drummer since he was a kid, Bud Bissonette. My mom was the jazz vibes player in my dad's band. My aunt played piano in my dad's band. My sister played violin. My brother, he's my favorite bass player. He's Elton John's bass player. I'm dropping names here. I dropped the name. Oh, Elton John's bass player. But we've played together so much in our careers. We started jamming when he was probably, I don't know, 5th grade, and I was 7th grade on Smoke on the Water.
Mm-hmm.
The big tune that you play when you get a bass.
Sure.
Bum, 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 bum. So yeah, we played since we were kids, and then we played in a band that played for our high school dances, middle school dances, high school dances, house parties, and then we started doing, proms and homecoming gigs, weddings,
Right.
wakes. No, we didn't play any wakes. But in the words of Lenny DiMuzio, my very dear friend who passed away
Just recently.
Yeah. Last time I saw him at PAS, I said, Lenny, it's great to see you. He said, yeah, baby, it's great to be seen. Better to be seen than to be viewed.
Yeah.
Lenny always had a funny joke. But yeah, we don't play any wakes. We didn't play any wakes, but we played a lot of parties. And then our band kind of played through high school. And then my brother and I both went to Texas to go to school. We went from Detroit. We were going to go to Berklee School of Music in Boston, but we went to Texas because we heard that they had 9 big bands, like 100 small groups, 125 drum set players, and it was Texas. It was a lot warmer than Detroit.
Right.
And there were 3 Miss Americas that were already from there.
You're like, I'm going to Texas. What else do you need? Warm weather and hot
nothing
women.
else, yeah. And I heard they were really friendly down there. And my girlfriend said when she visited, my high school girlfriend, she said, in Texas here, when a lady gets up to go to the restroom, all the guys
Everybody
stand
gets up.
said, yeah, they don't do that in Detroit.
No.
Probably not in Philly.
No,
either.
they don't.
Not too much
we
over
just
there.
throw batteries at Santa Claus and snowballs and all kinds of stuff.
My gosh. Pat's
Have
cheesesteak.
you ever heard of that story though?
Oh, no, I haven't. I thought you were making it up.
No, they gave away. Well, the fans threw snowballs at Santa, but then they had those batteries inside of like something they gave away, and they were just throwing the batteries onto the field at the players.
Tough crowd over there.
I'll tell you what. Anyway, and
they
I'm a
tore
Philly
down-
fan. I'm a Philly fan, but I don't do that kind of stuff.
Okay, and they
I'm
tore down
I'm a
the
nice guy.
Spectrum.
Yeah, and they tore that down. And you've played there.
We played there with my first tour with David Lee Roth. We played the Spectrum. I saw that Rocky statue, and Nick just told me they tore it down.
No, they didn't tear it down. They just moved it. They tore down the Spectrum, but they moved the statue.
Oh, they didn't tear down the statue, but
No,
they
the
moved
statue they moved. See, but the thing is, I don't want to break I don't want to break the news to anybody in Philly, but Rocky is not a real person.
Wait a minute. Are you kidding me?
But like people in Philly act like, I mean, Sylvester
He's
Stallone
not.
is a real guy.
Who's Sylvester Stallone?
But people are like,
I'm kidding.
You know,
What about
people-
Adrian? Is she real?
I don't know.
What about his trainer?
Yeah, what's his name? I forget.
He was,
I don't know. But
Burgess
people like
Meredith.
but
No, not
people in
Burgess.
Philly are like, they're oh yeah, Rocky. I'm like, it's not a real. It's a fictional character. They make a statue out of a fictional character. Leave it to us in Philly.
when I was with Maynard, we would always eat at Pat's Cheesesteaks. And what's
Yeah.
the one next door?
Geno's.
Geno's. It was
Pat's
either
is the best.
Pat's Maynard
Yeah.
liked the best. And then we would play Rocky, because he had a hit with theme from Rocky.
Right.
In fact, Peter Erskine played on that album that had Rocky on it. And yeah, that was one of Maynard's hits. So Philly, woo,
Nice.
gotta love it.
So we're gonna rewind.
Okay.
Right. Fast forward a little bit. All right, there we go. So right there. So you're playing wakes and proms and everything.
Yes.
So where did it lead from there? And when did you really decide and make the decision? This is what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna go be an accountant or anything else, and I'm gonna really pursue this music thing.
I remember it like I was, like it was last week actually. My parents were going to go on a trip. They did go on a trip to Spain. And my dad said, at the dinner table, Greg, your mom and I are going to Spain in 2 weeks, and I got a gig. It's a wedding, and my band, the Bud Bissonette Band, is going to play. He called it the Buddy Blair Band. He thought Bissonette would be too tough for the business card and for people to remember. So the Buddy Blair Band, we called it the Bloody Bear Band.
Right.
But he says, and so he gives me the sticks. He goes, you're gonna do the gig. I said, I'm gonna play the whole gig? I can't, how am I gonna get there? Well, his brother, my Uncle Chuck, your Uncle Chuck's gonna drive you. And, just do what you do when you sit in, I mean, I usually sat in on Proud Mary and Joy to the World by Three Dog Night, but all of a sudden I'm playing Girl from Ipanema and Satin Doll and Brushes, and I probably didn't sound that good, but I was a leader's kid. And I was
Right. But did
subbing
you
for my
know
dad.
all that stuff though, or were you just kind of like?
I knew the songs because I would go with my dad. I would be his roadie at like 12 and 13. I'd wear the mock tux and sit next to the drums and set them up and watch my dad play. He'd let me play Shaker on Tall Antenna, and then Ba Dee Doo Da. I'm playing the Shaker. No Shaker on Satin Doll. It's a swing tune. So I just knew the songs, but I hadn't really played a whole 4-hour gig. And I remember this lady walked up to the band and she said, you gotta stop, It's my Uncle Harry's 90th birthday tonight. Play Happy Birthday. And I'm thinking, oh, happy birthday. And I don't really think about it, but the sax player turns around and goes, happy birthday in 3, 1, 2, happy. And I'm thinking, in 3? What do you mean in 3? And I play boom, boom, bop, digga, 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 bop, like a, time over time, metric modulation, Pete Magadini kind of thing. Vinnie Colaiuta at the Elks Club, playing Happy Birthday in 4 while they're playing a waltz, like displacement.
Right.
Isn't Vinnie from Philly? He's from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he's from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, the greatest.
We were actually just talking about Vinny earlier.
Oh my God.
I put this thing up on Facebook, this joke, or it's April Fool's Day, and I was like, oh, I'm stoked. I'm going to be doing a whole slew of dates with Sting, and all these people are like freaking out, and I was like, it's not true.
This afternoon, I was watching a YouTube of Vinny playing Brought to My Senses in 7, where he's going, I was born. What a drum. What a musical drum.
So good. So good. Every time I watch him play, I'm just like,
Oh my God.
you either want to do one of two things. I always say when I see somebody play like that, I either want to go practice all day or just
stop. He's the
hand in
reason
the sticks.
Here's the sticks. He's the reason I moved to LA.
Really?
Well, I knew I wanted to live out here because, I wanted to be a recording session and touring drummer. And a guy at North Texas State says, are you crazy? You can't do both. What do you mean? He goes, well, either the session guys, they stay in town and they've got their beepers and they only, okay, I'll be there, double session. Or if they leave even for one gig out of town, somebody will take their place and they'll never work again. I said, I don't think that's the way it is. But yes, it is. And then the touring guys, they only tour because if they come into town, they don't get used for sessions because they're known as out-of-town guys. Well, Vinnie Colaiuta proves them wrong, right?
Right.
I mean, the guy tours with, Herbie Hancock, Sting, Frank Zappa, comes into town, everybody waits for him to do albums.
Sure.
Abe Laboriel tours all the time, plays all kinds of albums.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not true, but I was playing a gig with a band I was in, and we opened up for Lee Ritenour, and Alex Acuna was the drummer. And I asked him after the gig, what should I do? I wanna, I'm in a rut. I feel like I wanna, are you teaching while you're here? No, we're just playing one night and we're leaving tomorrow. If you want to get better and you want to grow your vocabulary, you should quit this band and move to LA and listen to my favorite drummer play 3 nights a week at the Flying Jib, this club in Encino. I said, where's Encino? It's in LA, don't worry about it. So I quit the band. But before I asked him, what's your favorite drummer? Who's the guy?
Right.
He said, well, Vinnie Colaiuta. Oh, the guy from Zappa that played on the new Gino Vanelli album? New.
Right,
this is 1980 or 81, I think. He said, yeah. I said, what's he your favorite at? Rock, funk, swing, Latin? He goes, everything. I said, I'm moving. And I moved and I just would sit 3 nights a week and watch Vinnie play from here to Jose, just going, what is he doing?
Man.
And just loving it. That was in the early 80s.
In the 80s. So, I mean, because now someone that wants to move out to LA, I mean, it's a totally different scene, a different vibe.
Let me tell you a sad story, Nick, about tonight.
Okay.
They're closing the place that kind of became the new Flying Jib where I heard Vinnie. One of the reasons clubs like the Flying Jib and this place that's closing, Cafe Cordial, are
They're closing Cafe Cordial?
Yeah, tonight's called Farewell to Cordial. And I'm playing a gig there tonight. And the reason why they're so successful, and every musician flocks there, and it's such a hang, and every night of the week they have great bands, they have great food, and it's a great place. They make a lot of money, they pay the band well, but unlike most clubs in New York and LA, there's no cover. So musicians who never want to pay a $20 cover, and there's no drink minimum, 2 drink minimum, you spend $80 to hear a band.
Right.
There's no drink minimum, there's no cover. They book up the tables and they make a killing on the food and the drinks and everything, but the bands all go there and hang and play. But the lease has gone way up. The chef is 80 and he wants to retire. My friend who owns it and books it, he says, I want to spend more time with my wife. But there aren't enough clubs.
Man.
Going back to your question, where do you go to hear that now for free in LA or New York? It's really dwindling.
I mean, there's still, the baked potato, but
$20 cover.
I was gonna say it's $20.
2 drink minimum. I love the baked potato. I cut my teeth there, but it's $80. You bring a girl to the baked potato. Want to go hear some jazz?
Right.
Sure, it's $100.
Right.
Ooh, we could have bought 10 albums.
Right. I mean, it's the same way, where I am in New York. It's like there's not a, and not to paint like a poor picture of LA or New York.
Right.
But it's just the nature of the business now that that things are drying up, but things are also changing and they're pivoting. And I think that if people like yourself are able to pivot and to sort of diversify themselves, have their hand in a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
You have to do that.
Right.
I tell people all the time, to make a living with your sticks, you've got to diversify. And you've got to love all styles. You don't have to love all the lyrics and all the styles. There's a lot of songs where lyrically I go, whoa, okay, I can't hang with that. But the drumming is killing in any style. And I'm a big fan of the drumming in all styles. But your vocabulary has to be super well-rounded in lots of styles. And reading, there's a whole new school of reading. I did that film today, was written by a great composer, but then it was just spit out by a computer. And it was not like reading a drum part.
No.
Or like the Chapin book or Advanced Funk Studies or any drum set books we worked on as drummers learning to play. This stuff is just written where everything's just kind of placed in weird places. And wait a minute, that chord note, well, that's written. It's technically right, but you would never write it like that.
Right.
All stems up and just like, whoa.
It looks like everything's like snapped to the grid.
I should show you. I have a piece of paper I rewrote the whole cue for this big long cue. I rewrote it like we would read drum music.
Really?
Yeah, and then it was like I could not sight read it the way it was
The way that it
computer
was.
generated. I
Right.
had to write it out the way you'd read drum music. So that's a way that I need to diversify now. I need to go, okay, people aren't sitting and writing out drum parts like they used to. I got to get better at reading that.
Right. Now, but what's your response to, a lot of people are saying, well, I don't know if a lot of people are saying this, I'm just making this up, but
I like that.
so I'm unintentionally lying to you.
You
is
are
what-
a liar. Yeah, that's a ticket. Everybody's saying that.
Yeah.
John Lovett.
Yeah, everybody. Everybody's saying-
Jose just said it.
But if somebody says, you know, I want to move to LA or I want to move to New York, and it's like, hey man, Greg did it, you know, but it's like, well, you're established now, so you get the calls. You're not.
I wasn't when I moved here, man.
Exactly. But
So,
do you think that someone can still make the career that you have in this day and age?
Absolutely. Because people will try to tell you, Nick, that, oh, recording sessions have dried up. You know, there's no recording anymore. In Los Angeles, where I live, there is a lot of recording. 80% of it, it's just drums. Like yesterday and today, I was in this humongous Warner Brothers soundstage that's 10 times the size of this room. Maybe about the same height of the ceiling, but 10 of these rooms, and this is a huge drum channel room.
Yeah, it is.
10 of these, and they had an orchestra, a 100-piece orchestra in there right before I got there. And then my cartage guy brings in my drums.
It's like
And-
ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, and I'm like, hello, hello, hello. And the charts are there, written out like computers, and you know, and we're overdubbing this big, huge screen up there, and the composer's going, okay, let's do M15, 1 M13, 5 M46, and we spend 3 hours doing these cues, just the drums. Even the upright bass was recorded with the orchestra. The horns were done the day before.
Right.
And
Do you
it's,
feel like it stiffens up your playing a little bit?
I don't. I mean,
No?
the bottom line is whether there's people in the room and you don't get a take because somebody cracked a double high C on the trumpet, or you don't do a take because somebody made some noise or there was a violin out of tune, it's a little bit more efficient for them now because they can just do a drum take, and if it's good, they go, okay, next tune. They can get me out of there in 3 hours,
Right.
which at Union double scale is $750, $250 per hour, so it's $750, as opposed to me being there for a triple, which is $750 times 3, you know, $2250 or something like that, plus, you know, your pension and all that stuff in the union. So instead of paying the drummer, hey Nick, you want to make $2,250 plus your pension? Sure.
Sure.
Or do you want to just come in for 3 hours and make $750? Do I have a choice? No.
Right.
We're doing just drums.
Right.
But it doesn't stiffen up your playing because you still got that click. You've got all the parts well played. If anything, you know, when you play with a big band, horns can speed up and slow down at the drop of a hat. These horns were slowing down, speeding up. Okay, don't slow down, speed up. And they were right with the click, so it was easier. Again, they get you out faster. Another trick that a lot of producers will try to say is, yeah, you know, we're doing 10 songs. Can we do it in a day? You say, yeah, we can do them in a day. Well, they're really hard. This really intense fusion like Alan Holdsworth stuff. Cool, well, you know, I'll make charts. And, well, can I send you these tracks ahead of time? No. Because that means I'm going to spend 2 days free learning your music.
Learning the music, right.
I said, no, I worked really hard at reading and transcribing so that I can come in and we'll talk about what you want where. If you have charts for me, that's great, and I'll make notes. But no, I'm not going to learn the stuff and spend 2 days for nothing so I can come in and do a take in 5 minutes.
Right.
And you pay me $10. You know, that's union stuff. That's where the union's good. And so it's not. When I moved to LA in '82, they said, "Oh, why'd you move here now? There's a strike going on." And there's always a strike going on with something.
All the recording sessions have dried up. Why'd you move here now?
That's what they'll tell you now. But they told me in '82, oh, they're doing a new strike because of new mechanical dues or something. You should have moved here when Hal Blaine was doing it in the '60s and the early '70s. And in the '70s, they probably said, well, you should have moved here in the early '60s. I mean, yeah, the one thing that changed a lot was when the drum machine came around, like 1980-ish. A lot of sessions were done with no drums. A lot of sessions, especially pop stuff, Kiss FM stuff, there aren't any drums. I did a session 2 weeks ago, and I played a fill, and the guy from England says, oh, mate, you know, I'm not a big fan of drum fills. Can you not play any fills? I said, sure, no fills. So I'm playing, you know, and I do some dynamics with a hi-hat, and I crash. He goes, oh, mate, Yeah, you were grooving just great. Everything was cool, but I'm not a big fan of crash cymbals, mate. Cool, no crash cymbals. So then I go to the ride on this B-side. He goes, not a big fan of ride cymbal either. Just get a hat and snare. I go, whatever you want.
Right.
And if you keep that
Not a
attitude,
fan of anything, really.
Not really a fan of anything. Just show up and smile.
Right.
You know? But if you can just say, sure. Tony Williams, I used to study with Tony, and he said once, yeah, I want to help me out, would you? I want to move to L.A., or not move to L.A., but I want to come down to L.A., start doing more recording session work. Mm-hmm. Wow, Tony, that would be amazing. People would freak to have you on their stuff. And he says, but it's got to be good stuff. You know, it can't be just lame players. He goes, I can't create in a vacuum. You want me to sound like I sounded with Miles? Well, give me Ron Carter or Herbie Hancock, Wayne Shorter.
Right.
You know, but I can't create in a vacuum. I said, well, I get it. I'm sure there's a lot of killer projects that would love to have you on. And I said, let me ask you one question that would be kind of crucial. Because you're Tony Williams and you've got your sound. You know, your bass drum's wide open, maybe a couple of felt strips, boom,
Right.
or boom, boom. Would you be into it if somebody like cut a hole in your front bass drum? No way. Or took the front head off and put like a packing blanket in there? No way. Well, you kind of got to do that, man, because what if they want oof as opposed to boom? Or what if they want you to tune your snare down really low and put some Kleenex and gaffer tape and go doof? No way, that's not my sound.
Right.
Maybe I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That's what he said. So
Let me know. I'm thinking about that. Maybe I don't want to do that.
that's kind of what he said. But yeah, you have to be willing to. Mm-hmm. If they say jump, you say how high.
Right. And you're very good at being a chameleon because you can play every sort of style and you can play it well.
Well, not every sort of style. The one that stumps me lately, Nick, is you show up on sessions, you never know what you're going to get. I mean, you just don't know. They don't tell you, well, Nick, this is a blank session. This is a blank session. You just show up and you see the music and you go, wow. So that's the tempo, 200, and it's, well, I can go, but I don't know if I can go,
Right.
what if I can't do this song, you know? Mm-hmm. Thomas Lang, Virgil Donati.
Right.
Hey guys, if I can't do this song, can you come over here? I'll give you my $250 for this hour, but you got to bail me out of this song. I can play styles. I can play lots of different styles, but I can't just rip like George Callias with my feet.
Right.
And I'm working on it, but that's the thing about session guys. They'll hire you for a Pepsi commercial, and it could be, well, we know you play double bass. That's really fast.
Right.
You know, there's guys that can play but then you get some whiplash kind of. Not everybody can play bebop that fast, you know. I love playing super fast bebop, but I can play bebop faster than I can play with my feet. So we all have things we have to work on. That's what I'm working on. What are you working on?
I'm just trying to play in time. That's all.
Yeah, me too. Jeff Porcaro once said, this guy, we were at this event and this guy came up. He says, yeah, man, I'm a drummer. And he looks at me and he goes, everyone's a drummer till they turn on the click.
I like it.
And then we just lost Mike Porcaro.
I know.
A couple weeks ago.
It's a shame.
ALS, man.
It's nuts.
No, so bad.
So what's your advice on people for mastering all these styles? Like, except the double bass quick stuff that you haven't done yet, but all the other stuff you have.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about mastering, if that's a good word, but I love to work and continue working on play. My way of practicing is just, now we have the internet. Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, we used to travel for an hour to see Buddy Rich play and get a ticket and kind of be going, wow, what's his left hand doing? Now you can go on Drum Channel, you can go on websites, you can go on YouTube, you can see people playing,
right?
You know, and you can hit the slow down any tune app or whatever and just go, and I spend a lot of time just my drums and my laptop going, wow, what is that? What is Questlove doing on his snare right there?
Right.
And that's how you learn, is you just try to emulate. One of the first lessons I took in LA was with the first lesson I took was with David Garibaldi in '82 when I moved here. And I said, how did you develop your own style? How did you master David Garibaldi?
Right.
Another paisano over there. With Tower of Power, he goes, well, I listened to Mike Clark. I listened to this guy. I listened to Ziggy from the Meters. I listened to this. Say I have 10 people. I bring that into my own personality, and I spit it out and it's me. If Nick listens to 10 people and he puts it through Nick and he spits it out, it's going to sound like him. It'll be his style. So the more stuff that goes in, and I, with my drum channel school here, I call it vocabulary. Everything is focused on vocabulary, beats and fills. Whether you're playing a groove or you're playing fills or you're playing a solo, it's all combinations of beats and fills in different styles.
Right.
So just the first thing you have to do is love the style. I've talked to jazz guys that go, man, I want to really get a rock gig, man. Can you help me? Like, I want to do a rock tour, man. I go, wow, cool. I didn't know you liked rock. Do you like AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, the Police, the Foo Fighters? No. You ever listen to that stuff? No. Why do you want to play rock if you don't even like the best rock bands in the world? Well, dude, I know that those tours pay more money. That's not why you want a rock gig. You want a rock gig because you love to rock.
Right.
And I've had rock friends of mine. Speaking of the baked potato, I ran into this guy, and we were watching Vinnie Colaiuta play. And the guy said, dude, I want to get like a jazz gig. I want to be like a jazz guy. Cool. You want to study and work on jazz? Like, do you like Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie, Miles Davis, Weather Report, Chick Corea? No. You ever listen to that? No. You have any albums by those guys? No. Why do you want to be a jazz drummer?
First of all, do you know what jazz is?
You know what jazz is?
And then let's...
Yeah, so Philly and Elvin, Philly Joe,
man.
From Philly. And so he goes, no. And I said, well, why do you want to be a jazz drummer if you don't even like the music? He says, well, dude, like when Vinnie Colaiuta plays like that jazz solo, like all the dudes in the restaurant stand up and clap. And he goes, they don't do that on my rock gigs. I'm like, that's why you want to be a jazz drummer? That's not the motivation,
Right.
You got to love the music.
Sure. And I think, a lot of people have trouble with, especially this day and age, because I feel like jazz is not as prominent as it used to be. And people have a hard time getting into it, so they don't study it because they're not used to listening to it every day. And a lot of people have this weird thing with jazz where they're like almost scared to get into it and don't really understand it, so people just avoid it and don't play it. But it's the root of everything. So what do you suggest people do if they don't like a style, but it's almost important that they do learn this stuff?
Yeah, I think they have to prune out what they don't like about it. Like for me, and I'm just being super honest, like when I got the new Kendrick Lamar album, I didn't get the explicit version. I got the clean version, which still isn't very clean, but I love the drumming on it, And I have a thing, this is weird, but I have a thing on my, in my studio, a little app where I can take out most of the vocals, and so I can hear the drums, and I just sit for hours and jam along with that CD that just came out like 3 weeks ago. And a lot of super aggressive Cookie Monster,
Right.
I can't hang with those vocals because I don't know what they're saying. The guy sounds so angry. I'm not a real angry guy. I'm a pretty happy guy. So I'll tune out those Cookie Monster vocals and I'll really get into the drumming.
Right.
And that could be for any band. It could be for Avenged Sevenfold. It could be for, dare I say, Dream Theater even.
Right.
I'm not the biggest fan of a lot of vocals, but I love Mike Portnoy's drumming. And I love Mike Mangini's drumming. And I love the Rev's drumming. And I want to know what those drummers are doing. So I prune out and vocals a lot of times.
All right, and just get down
and
to
get into the drums,
Right.
And so even though people like maybe jazz, like for instance, what you said is really interesting. People are afraid of jazz, and not many people are into it. But I kind of live in a world of jazz educators a lot of times. I teach for Cal State Northridge. I go to these jazz educators conference. I do clinics for Dixon, my drum company, where I go to all these PAS things, and it's all jazz bands playing. So elementary, middle school, and high school kids from all around the country, all they're playing is jazz.
Right.
I mean, at night they're playing, Blink-182 songs and working on their Travis Barker chops. But during the day, they're playing, and in college too. Most college drummers are jazz rednecks because that's all they play in college is bebop. So that's their thing. And so it's dead in certain circles, but it's alive in certain circles. And for a lot of people that go into college and they go, man, John Coltrane, his sax just sounds like a bunch of noise. And just playing and playing and playing. But that drummer, man, Elvin Jones, he's playing some really cool stuff. So focus on Elvin Jones.
Right.
Go into Elvin Jones, what's it called? Different drummer or something like that. Elvin Jones has a million things on the internet where you can really explore what he's doing. What a musical drummer.
Oh yeah, it's a different type of drummer, or a different kind of drummer, or something like that.
Different drummer, something like that. But there's a bunch of them.
How they're talking about how jazz sounded before Elvin.
And
if you
what
listen,
he
you listen to a record before Elvin, during Elvin, and after Elvin, you can see the progression of how jazz went just from Elvin's playing.
You sure can. And the triplet, just rolling. I got to be honest. When I got out of high school and I got into college, I got turned on to Elvin. I was really into Buddy Rich, Joe Morello, Danny Serafin, Bobby Colombi, Peter Erskine, the big band drummers, Danny D'Imperio, Jake Hanna, Jeff Hamilton. But when I heard Elvin Jones in college, I went, man, that sounds like a drum set falling down the stairs.
Right.
And these older jazz guys in college, 28, grad students are going, what do you mean? That's sacrilegious. You can't say that. This is Elvin Jones. I said, sounds like a pair of sneakers in a dryer. I don't get it. I really didn't get it. It was like the Emperor's New Clothes. Yeah, that sounds great, you know. But the more I got into it, now he's my favorite.
Right.
Well, Elvin Jones and Tony Williams and Bill Stewart are my favorite jazz drummers. But it's that aggression, that passion.
He sounds like a freight train.
Yeah, and it grooves, and it's sexy and funky. And Tony Williams, with Miles when he was 17. Man, that's what got me into really wanting to explore jazz. And Bill Stewart, man, that guy comes in, match grip, takes New York by storm.
Yep.
I see him play, and my jaw's just, what is he doing? You know, unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my advice is prune out the things that scare you and get into the drumming. You know, get into, why is the drummer doing that? Because Miles went like this. You know, Tony Williams told me, I want to play drums the way Miles plays trumpet.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? He goes, I want to, like Miles would make me laugh. He'd make me cry. He'd scream at me. He'd whisper to me. I want to evoke all those emotions with the drums. I said, Tony, you do that, man. That's what you do. So I have a lot of long answers for short questions, Nick. I'm sorry.
That's what we're here for. I'm asking the questions, you're talking. That's what
I hope you can edit these out because they're long.
No, man, that's what we like to hear. And so now you would mention Tony saying that he wants to evoke emotion out of people and wants to sort of express, you know, sorrow and happiness and laughter and things like that. And so what's your approach to playing more musically? Because you can get all these chops and
chops aren't it.
You can play all this stuff underneath your legs and whatever you want to do, but if you can't make music out of it, then what's the point? It's like learning a bunch of big words and not being able to talk.
You better believe it. And that's why I want to turn the channel to my most musical drummer, favorite drummer, and that's Ringo. Mm-hmm. And for the last 12 years, by the grace of God, I've been able to be playing with Ringo and in the All-Star Band since 2008. And as far away as we are right now, we're playing double drums, and I'm watching him play and never overplaying and always being in the groove. My goal is don't flam with Ringo's snare.
Right.
And when you're in with Ringo, it's like putting on your favorite pair of shoes. You go, I wore these shoes yesterday, but they feel really comfortable.
They feel good.
I want to wear these again today. I want to play in Ringo's pocket because it's just right. I can listen to every Beatles song, every Ringo solo album, every other thing he's done with people like Tom Petty or whoever artists he's played with, the Traveling Wilburys, you name it. And he just has this vibe where it's just, he never gets in the way. And what he asks for, he doesn't read drum parts. He looks at lyric sheets. And he looks at the lyrics, he says, I always wanted to know where they weren't singing so I could play something where they weren't singing. Because you don't want to get in the way of the vocals.
Right.
And it kind of cracks me up with terminology lately, like gospel chops. I judged a drum contest a while back that will remain unnamed. There was like, tempo, stylistic diversity, musicality, showmanship, gospel chops. I'm like, when did gospel chops become a style?
Right.
Gospel to me, and I play in our church, gospel is the Bible, the Word of God, like a singer singing maybe Amazing Grace. That's a gospel song, right? And if a drummer's going, Amazing Grace, how sweet, that's kind of covering up the words which are the gospel. You know, it's like they're there to worship, and the drummer's just soloing. So Ringo never overplays. He never gets in the way with his fills. They're just in the right place. And he's so musical because he cares about the singer. If you're playing with a trumpet player, like tonight, I'm going to play with this amazing trumpet player, one of my favorite trumpet players, Rick Braun. And the guy can play any kind of style. But when he plays like Miles, Freddie Hubbard kind of stuff, I want to have his trumpet. That's like the word. That's like the vocals. He's playing the melody when he's soloing. I want to accompany him in a musical way so I don't step on what he's doing. You want to create a canvas for the soloist or a blank canvas for the singer. And a lot of bands rehearse in small rehearsal studios where they're just playing with the amps cranked up. Maybe the drums are even mic'd.
Right.
And the singer's got this little dinky mic coming through the PA, and you can never hear the singer. Man, if you can't hear your singer, and they're losing their voice and getting notes because they're screaming so loud to be heard, come down, man. Mix as you play. Drummers have to mix with their hi-hat, kick, snare, toms, cymbals, ride cymbal. You have to mix with your kick, everything to have the right balance. But you also have to mix for the band. If you're playing too loud and the guitar player has to turn up and you can't hear the singer, singers first,
Right.
the words.
Right.
If you're in Maroon 5 and you can't hear Adam Levine's words, or if you're Eric Hernandez and you can't hear your brother Bruno Mars singing, not a good idea.
Right. Somebody needs to turn down.
Somebody needs to turn down
Right.
and let the singer sing.
Right.
So that's musical drumming to me.
So how do you develop that muscle? Say I came to you and you say, okay, man, I want you to play. And I'm just blazing. And then you say, all right, now we're going to play along with this tune. And it's just not happening because, you know, my pocket's not there or I'm not playing musically and I'm just.
Yeah.
So how do you suggest that people develop? Because the reason why you get called is because you play musically. You know, it's like Indugu Chancellor said, I never got called to do a drum solo. Jeff Porcaro said, I never even remember doing a drum solo, you know.
Right.
And they both have chops.
You bet.
You know.
You bet. Well, the way I would recommend if you did come to me and you were struggling with that, which I'm sure you're not, because we've already talked, but somebody that would come to me and say, I just can't seem to stop playing. John Coltrane was playing with Miles Davis one time in the early days, and Miles is looking at his watch like, come on, Coltrane, you've been soloing for 10 minutes. And then he keeps playing, and he keeps playing, and he keeps playing. And Miles goes, man, that was so long. Why'd you solo so long? He says, Miles, I just keep playing. I can't stop. And Miles says, try taking the horn out of your mouth. So what I would say is like play along with the drums on the MP3 or the CD or the iTunes, you know, MP3 you're playing along with or whatever. Try to match what that drummer's playing. You mentioned Counting Crows. Super musical drum parts. And if you want to be closing your eyes like I used to when I was a kid, what if the drummer from this band broke their arm and I was subbing? Try to play exactly what's on the track. And if you really try to do that, you know, you play the fills where they're needed. Fills are interesting because fills really, to me, if you've got a verse and it's this intensity level, say it's mezzo forte, and say you've got a fortissimo chorus and you've got a pianissimo breakdown. Well, you've got these different sections, and to get from your verse to your chorus, you need some kind of a ramp. And that ramp, to me, is the fill. Sure, it's opening up the hi-hat a little, crescendoing, but that fill, it's not only going to telegraph the next section, but it's going to ramp up to maybe you're riding on the crash, and then you do the breakdown. Those fills can be not only telegraphing the section for the guys in the band, you're kind of the musical director a lot of times because you're telling the guys where to play. The best compliment we can get as musical drummers is, thanks, man, I didn't really have to think about the song because you telegraphed where they happen. The dynamics of the band are easily controlled by the drums. If the drummer's not playing dynamically and coming up and down with the sections, the band won't be able to do it. So the drummer with the open and close of the hi-hat, middle of the snare. Ringo's great at this. He'll play a whole verse in the middle of the snare, then he'll play a whole chorus, rim shots, then he'll come back to the middle. He uses his drums and his cymbals super dynamically, and that's really important. So I would say just play along with the the track and try to do what the drummer's doing. Don't fill when they're not filling, and that'll be your training.
Right. It's a powerful instrument, though. Especially, you know, when you sit down even to practice, and you're saying, "Okay, I'm going to work on this 2 and 4 groove." Next thing you know, you hit the ride, and then you hit the next thing you know, you're off, and then you do all that stuff. It's been 15 minutes, and you're like, "Man, I didn't practice anything yet." Okay, let me get back to where I was.
I hear you, Nick, all the way. Another thing you can do is you don't have to be a Mark Atkinson, one of the greatest transcribers in the world that could transcribe, you know, Herb & Moe's Vacation, Frank Zappa, but you can transcribe the form of the song, and you can say, okay, hi-hat tight for this verse, hi-hat open for this chorus, bell of the ride cymbal for the bridge, boom, boom, ba, boom, boom, takum, takum, right out the kick and snare part, and right at fill, ba, boom, guitar, boom, ra, boom, right out the fills, and then stare at your music and make it like reading. And when you read and see the chart and you're playing what you transcribed from the track, you won't want to go to the China cymbal or the cowbell or, you know, timbales, because there's no timbales in the song. Just because we have all these instruments at our disposal, we have to be able to edit and use discretion to use what we have to use for the song.
I remember for a while I did gigs and I was just playing a kick, a snare, and a hi-hat. And I was like, if it's not there, I can't play it. You know, and for a couple months we had this residency, and I was like, man, I'm just gonna play kick, snare, and hi-hat.
That's the best thing you could do. And that reminds me of a funny story. When I was in Maynard's band, I went and saw a buddy of mine play in a club. He had a 5-nighter in New York City. And I said, man, you know, we have, I think it was like Tuesday, it was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it was a 4-nighter, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And I said, man, I'm gonna come out Wednesday night. He goes, oh, don't come out Wednesday night. Why? Well, I have to take the subway, and I take my kick and my snare and my hi-hat and my ride. But Thursday night, I bring my rack tom and my floor tom. Friday night, though, I got to take the toms back.
Right.
So can you make it like Thursday night?
Thursday. All the drums will be there.
So, yeah. Anyway.
So now, moving forward, we've talked about a lot of the stuff that you've done in the past. But moving forward, you have a new CD.
I do. It's called Warning, Will Robinson, and it's all my brother. My brother said, I guess about a year and a half ago, he said, you should do a new solo album. It's been years since we did Submarine. I said, yeah, man, that was a lot of work and a lot of money and the record labels and all this stuff. You know, I don't know if I want to try to get in with a record label. He goes, I'll be the record label. You know, so my brother, financed it, paid for the whole thing, wrote all the songs, wrote all the lyrics, produced it, told me what to play, told me what to sing, got the guys to play guitar and bass. He played bass guitar and some keyboards, and it's really a fun album. He also had the idea of doing the regular CD that's mixed, but a second CD that has no drums, because so many people want to do drum covers.
Right.
And there's click, and they can play with it without my drums on it. So it's called Warning, Will Robinson. It's available on iTunes and CD Baby and Amazon.com and through my website. But it's mostly my brother's work, and I'm just so honored. I think it's the best one we've done so far.
Awesome.
It's really influenced by pop, like Foo Fighters, Mustard Seeds, this band. We used to have hard rock, tuned down guitar, heavy drumming, but a lot of dubstep, like Skrillex, like
Really?
halftime kind of dubsteppy stuff, and a lot of guitars sounding electronic, and really cool lyrics and vocals. And
Nice.
then there's one song that's like a Tower of Power-y song that we did. That's Ellis Hall is singing on, and he's a great soul singer. And Danny Jacob plays guitar, and it's kind of an ode to Garibaldi.
Awesome. So now, you also teach in the area when you're...
Yeah, I teach for Cal State Northridge, which is not far.
Mm-hmm.
It's in between where I was in Burbank and here
Right.
in the Valley.
So now, do you teach just for people that go there, or can people get private lessons through you? Or?
Yeah, no, it's just Cal State Northridge mostly. And Adam was a Cal State Northridge student, Adam Coons from the drum channel here. And I just love teaching, you know, I do a lot of clinics.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go all around the world. I've just done tons of clinics this year for my drum company, Dixon, and for Zildjian Cymbals. You're lucky when your companies will support you.
Sure.
DW Pedals, LP Percussion, Vic First Sticks, Remo Drumheads, they all come in together and they sponsor these clinics where they're co-opted. And so you can teach in these clinics everything from beginners and have kids come up and play and hands-on from 5 years old to 90. So I really, my degree in college was music ed, and I love teaching. But clinics are a great way to teach. And also my school here at Drum Channel, it's all about teaching styles, vocabulary.
Yeah, that's another thing that we should mention. If people want to study with you and they don't go to Cal State, they can go to drumchannel.com.
Yes,
they can,
please.
register and sign up, and it's very, very affordable to join Drum Channel, and
It
they
sure
can
is.
get lessons through you.
And I can't believe that every drummer is not a member, because
I agree.
man, when I was a kid, if you would have told me, yeah, we got this really cool clubhouse, and it's called Drum Channel here in Oxnard, California, and every drummer you've ever heard of comes in here and plays and does stuff. And then I've got this school where I'll teach you to be the drummer you want to be, and it's pennies a day. I'd be like,
Right.
are you kidding me? Why would any drummer not do this?
Shut up and take my money. That's what I would say. Here,
Yeah.
this
It should be when you buy your first pair of sticks, you have to join Drum Channel,
Yeah.
or we're not going to allow you to hold those sticks.
And this is like mecca for drummers. I mean, it's like, it's the room, you can shed in here and everything. DW's right across the street.
You better
I mean,
believe it.
It's right there.
Right there, next building.
So I remember the first time I came here, I was like, man, I just want to move in.
Well, Don Lombardi's been one of my best friends for years, and he is a man with a vision.
Yeah.
And I remember when he first started out DW, and then when he first made the double pedal, I hate to brag, but I was the first guy to road test the double pedal with Maynard in '82. And he said, okay, take this out with you. It's a prototype. I'd played this pedal called the Zalmer Twin, Richard Zalmer, but it was kind of a springish thing, and there was a little Charlie Callis delay, and Don's was bam, bam. And so Don Lombardi and John Good, and man, this is the Mecca, like you said.
It is, man. It's great to have you here too. I appreciate you coming out to do it.
It is my pleasure.
So what's on the horizon now? What's up? What next for you?
A water polo tournament with my son in Orange County. My son's 17. He's all about water polo. My daughter's 14. She's all about ballet. So I'm going to my son's water polo tournament, my daughter's ballet performance. I'm doing a session tomorrow, and it's at a studio near where I live in Westlake Village. Great recording studio. And it's going to be, the engineer is one of the world-class engineers. It's going to teach California Lutheran University, how to engineer. So he's going to have the kids mic up my drums. I'm going to get a sound check. I'm going to play. They're going to write charts, and they're each going to produce a song.
That's awesome.
So it's a 6-hour session of that. And then on Tuesday and Wednesday, I go to A&M Records, which is now the Muppets, Henson Studios on La Brea and Sunset. And one of the best studios around. And I'm going to do an album with Lee Sklar playing bass for a great singer from Japan named Mari Ijima, super famous singer there. 2 full days of that. And just very blessed to be working as a session drummer in Los Angeles and touring with my favorite drummer. We just finished 5 weeks on tour all through the U.S., Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, South America, Mexico, and Vegas with Ringo.
Nice.
And
Are there plans to go back out with that?
yeah, he's always got something cooking, so
Cool.
we'll be out again before long. You never know. But he's being inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's been in the Hall of Fame with the Beatles, but for his solo career,
That's
April 18th in 2 weeks. And his new album just came out, which is amazing. And we wrote a song as a band, the Ringo All-Star Band. We wrote a song as a band. I got to play steel drums, trumpet, timbales on it, LP timbales. And I wrote a song with Ringo,
Not many people can say that.
No, I know. I'm so happy. And
That's
it's
awesome.
called Postcards from Paradise is the name of the album. It's a really great album.
I would definitely check that out.
Great, Nick.
So before I let you go,
Yep.
most memorable music experience that you've had?
I have to pick one?
Sure.
Yikes.
Or one that sticks out in your head. Doesn't have to be the.
Okay, there's a bunch. I could think of 5 that are major, but I'll prune it down to one. It was Ringo's 70th birthday, and we played Radio City Music Hall in Manhattan. And about a month before we played, the management said, hey, Paul McCartney's going to come out and sing Birthday for Ringo, you know, ba 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 ba, and we're gonna rehearse at a secret sound check. Ringo won't know we're in, and then when we do the gig, we do the whole, you know, little help from my friends, and everybody comes up, and Yoko's up there singing "Give Peace a Chance," and the stage is dark. All of a sudden, Paul comes out, and Ringo's looking like, wow, and he runs up on the stage, and he looks at me like, oh my gosh, I haven't played this since, you know, 1968 or something.
Right.
How does it go? Oh, it's boom, bop, boom, boom, bop, boom, bop, bop, bop. And he looks over, how long have you known about this? While we're playing? And tears are running down my cheek. I'm going, there's Ringo, my favorite drummer, and there's Paul, the two Beatles that are left, and they're playing together, and I'm playing in the band. Ah! And he just, you know, how long have you known about this? Oh, about a month. And he says, oh, you cheeky son of, you know. So that night, the party they had afterwards, everybody was there.
Right.
And it was the most amazing. I still get goosebumps when I think about that day.
That is amazing, though.
And of course, I got the pictures and the videos to prove it.
Right.
Just because it did happen.
Right. No pictures, it didn't happen.
Yeah, that's right. It could be Cinderella. I have a slipper.
Well, that is, I would probably rank that up there with my favorite too if I were you. So.
Oh man, thank you, Nick.
Absolutely, man.
I want to hear you play.
What's that? No, we're not gonna.
Are we gonna get to hear you play?
Yeah, we'll play.
Come on.
We'll play after this.
Okay.
Well, thank you again for doing this, man. I appreciate you
Thank
sitting
you.
down and chatting. I know it was hectic getting here, like I
My
said.
pleasure.
But thank you very much. And for everybody out there, be sure to go to drumchannel.com, check out Gregg's lessons, and check out his website, his new record, and his clinics, and all the stuff that he has going on. Again, Gregg, thank you so much, man. It was
Thank
an
you,
honor and a
Nick.
pleasure to chat with you and to have you on the show.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Absolutely,
And
man.
I want
Thank
to come to your restaurant when I come to Philly. What's the name of it again?
Raffini's.
Raffini's, of course, your last name. Nick Raffini. We're going to have some cannolis. You make cannolis?
We don't make cannolis.
My favorite dessert.
We'll make them if you come.
It's kind of Sicilian, right? Are you
If you're-
Sicilian?
No, a
That's
bruschetta.
bruschetta. You make bruschetta?
Yeah.
That's bruschetta, right? Spelled the same.
What's
I
that?
don't know.
No.
A lot of the same letters.
Well, I'll fill you in on it.
Okay.
But if you're coming, we'll make cannolis.
You make cannolis?
Yeah, for you, yeah, we'll get them.
Take the gun, keep the cannolis, or something like that. Thank you,
Awesome.
Nick.
Gregg, thank you, man.
And
Appreciate
Don
it.
Lombardi, he's Italian too,
he
right?
is, he
Thank
is.
you, Don.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Don, for having us here.
He's the Don.
He's the Don Corleone.